Hello everyone. Today I am covering another story from The Mill. A horror mystery film called The Witch. Warning, spoilers ahead. Enjoy. In a meeting house, Thomasin, Caleb, Jonas, Mercy, and their parents, Catherine and William, stand in front of a table with Puritan leaders. William argues with the leaders about a discrepancy in the way he follows his religion. William calls them false Christians and the family is then banished from the plantation. The family gathers all their belongings and head out into the woods. They find an open area where they build their own home. Catherine hands Thomasin baby Samuel as she continues to work. In an open field near the tree line, Thomasin plays peekaboo with little Sam. As they play, Thomasin uncovers her eyes and sees the baby has disappeared. She runs to the tree line screaming for Sam as the tall grass rustles. Deep in the woods, a woman in a red cloak scurries along with Sam in her hands. Later, the woman lays her old hands on Sam. She begins to mash him up into a bowl and then lathers herself with his remains. She then slowly flies into the full moon with her broom. Thomasin wakes up from a nightmare and Caleb tells her everything will be alright. He heads downstairs and quietly puts on his shoes as he hears his mother crying and praying in the background. Outside, William tells Caleb that they can no longer search for Samuel. He tells him that they must start to hunt as their crops have been dying. In the woods, Caleb asks William if Samuel has gone to hell and William tells him no. He then asks his father where he got the traps from and William tells him that he traded his mother's silver cup for them with some passerby traders. They continue on to find a rabbit and ready their gun. William fires and a malfunction hurts his eye. They arrive back home to Mercy and Jonas playing with Black Phillip, their goat. William puts the goat in his corral and falls into mud. Catherine comes out and asks them where they have been as she doesn't want to be left alone. She commands Thomasin to help her father with the soiled clothes and takes the kids inside. As Catherine leaves with no answer from William, Caleb calls out and tells her that he thought he saw an apple tree in the valley and his father wanted to cheer her, but they didn't find any. She understands, but tells him she still doesn't want him far outside. Later that day, Thomasin and Caleb hang around by the brook when they see Mercy playing around by them. Mercy begins to fool around saying she is the witch of the woods. Thomasin tells her to stop and go home. Mercy talks back to her, saying that she let Samuel be taken by a witch. Thomasin gets annoyed and pretends she is the witch of the woods. Caleb tells her to stop, but she continues on and scares Mercy, then forces her to not tell their parents as she runs away. Later that night as the family has dinner, Catherine asks Thomasin what she has done with her silver cup. Thomasin says she has not touched it and Catherine tells her if a little wolf has taken it too. She goes on to say that something on this farm doesn't feel right. William says they shall read from the Bible tonight and fast the next day for their sins. They hear the goats outside begin to squirm and Catherine tells Thomasin to go calm them. Thomasin goes out to the corral and sees the rabbit William and Caleb saw in the woods staring at her. As William and Catherine lay in bed, the children overhear their talks from upstairs. Catherine begins to grieve that they should have never left the plantation as they are scarce of food and that Thomasin is old enough to serve another family. William tells her that tomorrow he will go into the village with Thomasin to sell and meet with a family for her. In the early morning, Thomasin finds Caleb gearing up a horse. She asks him where he's going and he says he's going to find food so she doesn't have to leave to go serve another family. Thomasin tells Caleb to take her with him or she will scream for her parents. As they walk in the woods, they come across the mysterious rabbit from before. The horse starts to panic and Caleb and their dog Fowler go after it, leaving Thomasin behind. As Thomasin tries to gain control of the horse, it bucks her off and she knocks out. Later that day, William and Catherine search for their lost kids. Caleb is still walking through the woods, now looking for Thomasin. He prays as night begins to fall when he suddenly hears Fowler loudly whimper. Caleb runs to him and finds his dog brutally butchered. Thomasin wakes up and hears her father's call and makes her way to him. Caleb, still in the woods, sees the rabbit again and goes after it. It leads him to an old cottage where the witch disguised as a beautiful woman makes her way out. She lures and seduces Caleb, gripping his head with her old ugly hand. At the farm, William gets ready to go out and search again. Catherine questions Thomasin as to why they went into the woods, but Thomasin tells her she promised Caleb not to tell. While they argue, William tells Catherine that he was the one that took her silver cup and the one who took Caleb into the woods the other day. Enraged, Catherine storms out of the house. She calls William a liar and that he's lost another child. In her sorrow she strikes him and William takes her inside. While tending to her father, Thomasin remembers to bed the goats and her mother tells her to leave it as it's raining outside. Thomasin insists to please her mother and Catherine kisses her daughter as she goes outside. Thomasin tends to the goats when she hears a noise. She finds Caleb naked and leaning on the gate. She runs to him as he collapses in her arms. The next day in the corral, Mercy and Jonas talk to Black Phillip while Thomasin milks a goat. The two tease Thomasin, saying that Black Phillip told them that she was wicked and had put the devil in Caleb while in the woods. Annoyed, Thomasin continues with her chores. As she squeezes the goat's udder, blood pours into the bucket and she kicks it away. In the house, William and Catherine tend to Caleb. Catherine tells William that her faith has weakened greatly after everything that has happened. William tells her that they will leave for the plantation the next day for a doctor and family for Thomasin. He goes outside and calls Jonas and Mercy as Thomasin tells them not to say a word. The family works on their chores when they hear Caleb scream from inside the house. They gather around him as he utters nonsense and squirms. His mouth suddenly closes shut and starts to bleed. William uses his knife's handle to open it and they see their bewitched child cough up an apple. Jonas and Mercy break free from Thomasin and run to their parents. They tell them that Thomasin is a witch and that she forced them not to tell. Thomasin tries to defend herself, but her father casts her on her knees to confirm her love of God. William tells them that he raised no witch in his house and makes them all pray for Caleb. Mercy and Jonas begin to ache and say that they have forgotten the words to the prayer. Thomasin tries to grab them and they both fall to the ground screaming. Caleb suddenly wakes from his sleep and yells to repent his sins. Thomasin and her parents circle around him again and pray. Caleb seemingly calms down and then bursts into a sinful prayer, insinuating sexual fantasies. Caleb finishes his act and draws his last breath. Catherine shakes him in agony. Thomasin tries to touch Caleb and her mother lashes out at her to get away. Thomasin runs outside and William holds her as she weeps. He tells her to tell him the truth about her being a witch and she tells him that Mercy and Jonas are liars. Determined to get the truth out of her, William presses on about what he saw in the house. Thomasin then tells him that she overheard him trying to sell her off and how he let her take the blame for the silver cup. She tells her father that the crops are dying and he cannot hunt, but only chop wood. William is enraged. She goes on to tell him that Mercy and Jonas are the ones conspiring with the devil as they talk to Black Phillip in whispers. She also tells him that Mercy told her she was the witch of the woods the other day by the river. William has enough and drags Thomasin, Jonas, and Mercy into the corral shed, then seals them in there with Black Phillip. William and Catherine dig a grave for Caleb and Catherine jumps in with him, looking at William as if she wants to die as well. Later that night as he chops wood, William breaks and kneels unto his God, proclaiming that it is true he's been infected with the sin of pride. In his sorrow, he says to dispose of him as his God sees fit, but to please redeem his children. While in bed, Catherine wakes to see Caleb holding baby Sam. Caleb tells her not to wake William up and offers her their stay if she signs his book. Blinded by the love for her dead children, Catherine agrees and holds baby Sam to breastfeed him, only to reveal that she is actually holding a black crow pecking away at her breast. In the shed, Thomasin, Jonas, and Mercy hear commotion near one of the goats. They see the witch, with her old naked body crouching down as she feeds off the goat and laughs. The next morning, William gets up from bed and goes outside, only to see the shed has been destroyed, their goat slaughtered, Jonas and Mercy gone, and Thomasin passed out. In that moment, Black Phillip suddenly impales William with his horns. William tries to fight back, but changes his mind and gives some final words of disappointment towards his God, and Black Phillip finishes him off. Thomasin walks towards her slain father when Catherine grabs her by the hair. She calls Thomasin a witch and blames her for killing their family. Catherine knocks her down and starts striking Thomasin as she tells her mother that she is no witch and she loves her. Thomasin finds a knife nearby to protect herself and slashes her mother, giving her a huge gash. Catherine, enraged even more, tries to strangle her daughter and Thomasin hesitantly swings the blade at her mother, killing her. Defeated, Thomasin walks into the house and sits down, crying herself to sleep. She wakes up in the middle of the night and walks over to the shed where Black Phillip is already waiting for her. Inside, Thomasin tells Black Phillip that she conjures him to speak. Black Phillip is silent, but as she is about to leave he speaks. In a mesmerizing tone, he asks Thomasin if she would like to live deliciously and see the world. Thomasin says yes, and Black Phillip tells her to write her name in his book as a man with a hoof and a black boot walk past it. He then tells Thomasin to remove her clothing and she hesitates to write her name. The man now behind her, dressed in all black, grips her shoulder as he tells her he will guide her hand. Thomasin now heads into the deep woods with Black Phillip following. She arrives to a circle of women chanting spells around a fire. The witches start to levitate and so does Thomasin. As she goes higher up in the air, she begins to laugh.
Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this story. Please consider giving us a like and subscribing. It would really help the channel out. Have an amazing day.